My next guest is the former Bishop of Hong Kong and is often called the conscience of China. His was the strongest voice warning the Holy See against a deal with China that would allow the communist government to have a say in the appointment of Catholic bishops. Now, his words fell on deaf ears, and the agreement was signed last year. He's now the author of a new book, For Love of My People, I Will Not Remain Silent. He was in Washington this week to receive the Truman Reagan Medal of Freedom for his many years of struggle against the communist Chinese repression. Here with us to give us an update on the persecuted church in his homeland is the Bishop Emeritus of Hong Kong, Joseph Cardinal Zen. Your Eminence, thank you for being here. Your Eminence, since the signing of this secret deal between the Vatican and China in September, and since we last spoke, the government of China has been more determined to restrict religious practice than at any time, certainly in my memory. What was the point of this deal?
Maybe our people did not expect such a change of atmosphere. But I think the intention is that China is so big, now it's so open, so they may like to have a better relation with China, so to able to have more opportunity for evangelization. I suppose that's the purpose of the Holy Father. But then I suspect if the people around him have also such a good intention, because they know the reality. So I'm really amazed how can they encourage the Pope to go on, on that, I think, misconceived optimism. Yeah.
You've written a new book called For Love of My People, I Will Not Remain Silent. You had previously said that if the Vatican signed this concord with the Chinese, you would be silent. What changed?
No. What I said exactly is that if the Pope does anything I cannot accept in my conscience, I will not come out to fight him. That's the point, yeah. Till now, it seems nothing of the kind happened yet.
You have blamed the Pope's advisors for steering him in the wrong direction on this deal. In September, Secretary of State Cardinal Parolin announced the agreement between the Holy See and the People's Republic of China this way.
The Holy See intends just to create the condition, or to help to create the condition of a greater freedom, autonomy, and organization, in order that the Catholic Church can dedicate itself to the mission of announcing the gospel.
Has this deal created greater freedom for Catholics or furthered the Church's mission, Your Eminence?
I'm sorry to say, I don't think he believes in what he says. Parolin has his own agenda. I'm sorry to say that. Yeah. I think he has his own agenda to achieve a diplomatic success. It's simply vainglory, I think. I don't see the purpose for a good of our faith or freedom, because he must know the reality. He knows the reality, just as much as I know, yeah.
You have called out Cardinal Parolin and have said that what worries you most is his lack of respect for the truth, and that he has hid from the Pope the horrible face of Chinese communism. Why would he deceive the Pope like this? Why would he push for this agreement? Maybe
I said something similar, is that if everything is secret, then I can still keep talking. But it's really difficult to understand why agreement should be secret. Even if it's a provisional, it should be open to everybody, because the people in China, they must know what they are supposed to do. They must know what the Holy Father has promised to the Chinese government. So now they are in the dark. It's a terrible situation.
The details of the deal between the Vatican and China are secret. In a recent interview, you said that this is not a bad thing because it allows for corrections without either party losing face. But can the Vatican actually make corrections? Do they have any real authority within the Church in China?
Nothing is said yet, but I suspect that, actually there are three things. One is about the selection of the bishops. And then the second thing is how to deal with those 7 illegitimate bishops. And then the third thing is how to deal with the underground church. Now, they say the agreement is only on the first point, but very probably they had some kind of understanding already also on the other 2 points. Because now the government is coming to the people, to the priests especially, and they say, now come up and join the Political Association. The Pope has already agreed, so the people don't know. Actually, already since the beginning of last year, the government came to say to the priests, from the 1st of February to the priests in the underground, you will no more be tolerated to say Mass in private. And the priests told the faithful not to go anymore. Maybe it's not yet in practice, but that made me believe that some kind of understanding is already there for all the 3 points.
In your book, you write, to the priests of China making a plea on their behalf for the Vatican deal not to be signed, and you write this, for you a new age of the catacombs will begin. It will be winter. It will be hard on you. The government will seize your churches. The priests will no longer be able to administer the sacraments. All that will be left for you is to go home and farm the land. But you will always be priests. Reassure the faithful that God's grace is not tied to the sacraments. God has 1,000 ways of filling your hearts with His grace. Sadly, your prophecy, Your Eminence, has come to pass. There are reports that several Chinese priests are, in fact, abandoning their ministries because they feel they can't freely follow their consciences and be members of that Catholic Patriotic Association, the Chinese official version of the Church. What becomes of the faithful priests in China?
I heard that in one diocese, the priests are divided in 3 groups. One group says, now, since the Holy Father says it's okay to come out to join the Political Association, so why should we not do that? And I think nobody should blame them. And then the second group said, no, in our conscience, we cannot accept that because in the letter Pope Benedict, he said clearly that it's wrong to join the Patriotic Association. And then I'm telling them, if you don't join the Patriotic Association, you surely are not disobeying the Holy Father, because I'm sure the Holy Father would not force you to join the Patriotic Association, because the Holy Father is famous for respecting the conscience. And then, unfortunately, there's also a group who said, for so many years, I tried to be a good priest, and now they want me to be a priest of the schismatic church. So what the purpose to be a priest? So they would abandon the priesthood. And that's very, very sad. I hope, I hope they think it all over again, yeah.
Was this deal supposed to merge the Patriotic Association and the underground church, the faithful church?
Nothing is said yet, but I suspect that, actually there are 3 things. One is about the selection of the bishops, and then the second thing is how to deal with those 7 illegitimate bishops, and then the third thing is how to deal with the underground church. Now, they say the agreement is only on the first point, but very probably they had some kind of understanding already also on the other 2 points. Because now the government is coming to the people, to the priests especially, and they say, now come up and join the Political Association. The Pope has already agreed, so the people don't know. Actually, already since the beginning of last year, the government came to say to the priests, from the 1st of February to the priests in the underground, you will no more be tolerated to say Mass in private. And the priests told the faithful not to go anymore. Maybe it's not yet in practice, But that made me believe that some kind of understanding is already there for all the 3 points.
I read another story, Your Eminence, of another underground bishop who refused to attend the Mass celebrated by his Patriotic Association successor. What do you read into that?
They stage something very ridiculous. They call the solemn occasion in which we declare that Bishop Zhang is emeritus. Now, there's no such ceremony anywhere. It's an insult added to the injury, because this old bishop always resisted to resign to make space to this schismatic bishop. Now he received order, but still nothing is clear, because to recognize this new bishop, we need something which, according to the church regulation, is a bulla signed by the Pope. And then the bulla must be visible to the people in a function which is called installation. But now there's no such a thing. So there is only a letter signed by Parolin and by Filoni under this ridiculous ceremony in which they say, we honor you because now we recognize you as a bishop, but emeritus. That's so ridiculous, yeah, and also very humiliating.
In your book, you propose returning to the 2007 letter of Benedict XVI to the Church in the People's Republic of China for guidance on how to handle Vatican-China relations. Why do you want the Church to return to Benedict's vision of this relationship?
Because it was a wonderful letter. It's a masterpiece of clarity of doctrine and also of, very open attitude of understanding for everybody. And even Pope Francis has said, maybe more than once, that the letter is still valid, because all the wrong things they are doing because they did not accept the letter. In my book, you notice that they even dared to manipulate the Chinese translation of the letter. In the Commission for Church in China, somebody, some member of that commission spread the wrong interpretation, and the Vatican allowed him to carry on that, and so only after 2 years there came some correction of that opinion, yeah.
Benedict XVI said that the Patriotic Association status was incompatible with Catholic doctrine. What can be done about this deal now?
I think by now, even the Pope must notice that they got nothing. And even after so much goodwill, they are not being rewarded. Immediately after the signing of the agreement, they did so many things which were like slaps in the face of the Holy Father. Because, first of all, they made a public declaration that they still hold the principle of the independent church. Then they forced the Pope to accept the 2 bishops who went to the synod. And then they solemnly celebrated the 60th anniversary of the first illegitimate bishop's consecration. So that's really absolutely rude and polite. So I don't think it's dignified to go on like that. Yeah.
Were you surprised by the Pope's tearful welcome of those 2 Chinese bishops at the Synod, Your Eminence? One of these bishops apparently has children of his own and a family.
And know that 2 bishops, actually one was even ordained legitimately, but he is not working for the church. He's very ambitious. And the other one, the Holy Father just lifted the excommunication a few days ago. And they say they were invited, but they could not be because the Holy See know them very well. They would not propose such names to represent the bishops in China. So obviously, you have noticed the announcement of the two names comes from China, not from the Holy See. So in some way, the Holy Father was forced to accept them, because immediately after the signing of agreement, he would be very embarrassed to say no to what they were asking.
This past month, Bishop Michael Young, your successor as the Bishop of Hong Kong, passed away. He's been replaced by the retired Cardinal John Tong temporarily, who it is reported was chosen instead of a Bishop Joseph Ha because Tong is more friendly to the Chinese regime. Now, Bishop Ha has been very outspoken. Your thoughts about the situation in your Diocese of Hong Kong?
But this is some people say, but actually such a disposition is okay, because a pontifical administrator can do much more for the diocese, for a regular running of the diocese. And Cardinal Tom had just finished being the bishop a little more than 1 year ago, so he knows all the businesses. So I think it's reasonable, because to have a diocesan administrator is more inconvenient. And then it's not sure that Bishop Ha would be the diocesan administrator, because it is made by election from the council, diocesan council. And also because in this period, the principal job is to work for the nomination of the successor. Now, Bishop Ha would be an interested part. He could be chosen as the successor, but Cardinal Tom surely is not going to be chosen as successor. So there are many reasons which justify such a disposition. But now, about the political correctness, now there are many opinions, and some people even say that since now in China you have all the bishops in the bishops' conference legitimized, and so probably even the underground bishops would join that conference, and so probably also Hong Kong and Macau, the bishops would join the same conference.
Wow.
And then the people say, in that case, obviously the future Bishop of Hong Kong need to have the blessing for Beijing. Now that's the voice, running in opinion in the people. But you can judge by yourself.
Cardinal Zen, what are members of the underground church telling you? Do they feel abandoned by Rome?
There is a horrible voice of despair, of confusion. They really don't know what to do. We are all in the dark, you see? We are all in the dark, yeah. So it's a very strange that the agreement should be secret. So the secret may be they are both the Holy See and Chinese government. They may not feel, in the right position. So they are afraid of many criticisms.
What do you tell people who ask you for guidance as far as what they should do?
I said just moments ago, I said, if you think it's good for you to go into the open, it's okay. Because if the present Pope says it's okay, you can do it. Huh? But if in your conscience you think it's wrong, because you cannot be united with a schismatic church, then you have to obey to your conscience. Because the conscience is still the last criterion for your action. And the Pope tells all the governments in the world that they should respect the conscientious objection. Huh? So the Pope would not force you to join the political association. And the government is going to take your church. You're not no more allowed to say Mass for the people. Okay, you go home and wait for better times. Huh? The communism is not eternal. What else can I say?
In February, the Vatican will host its summit on sex abuse, as we've been reporting, and you know. Are you content that they have properly diagnosed the problem? They've sort of narrow-cast this as the protection of minors. Or is the problem the abuse of people by bishops and the abuse of power and the discipline of bishops?
I think both are very important. Both are essential. Yeah. Yeah, I think prevention is very important because it concerns the formation of the people in the church, and then also the working in so many institutions. And I think that's important, but also the responsibility of the bishops. When such scandal happen, they have to be, more straightforward in dealing with the cases. Yeah, I think both are important.
Your Eminence, thank you so much for joining us this evening. The book, For Love of My People, I Will Not Remain Silent, on the situation of the Church in China, by Cardinal Joseph Zen, is available at bookstores everywhere and online, February 5th from Ignatius Press.